We live in a knowledge economy where we need to learn complicated things quickly. But how do we master the art of quickly learning complicated things? Well, that's through deep work. Cal Newport, the author of this book, describes deep work as professional activities performed in a state of distraction-free concentration that push your cognitive capabilities to their limit. Now, if you are fully focusing on one specific task that requires your full attention, but in between you glance at your phone to see what's going on, then that doesn't count as deep work. Because what you are actually doing is context switching, and yeah, as a result, you are not using your full capabilities. So the main idea is to learn hard things quickly, you must focus intensely without distraction. So yeah, to learn is an act of deep work. However, deep work is becoming increasingly rare because of all these distractions that we have to deal with. I mean, we have all these social media apps, we have these messaging apps, we have our phone calls, we have emails, etc. And yeah, in today's digital world, we can access most of these distractions with just a simple click or swipe. Now, as a result, if we feel bored for a second, we just grab our phone. So we can say that we live in some kind of distraction economy. And as a consequence, we can go through most of our day without distraction-free concentration. So we are rarely doing deep work. And the author explains that it are these deep efforts that move the needle. Or in other words, it are these deep efforts that ensure that we learn new things, we get better at stuff, we get promotions, etc. So if you want to know what you can do to work more deeply and get the most out of your time, then hang on. Alright, so let's dive into rule number 1. As explained earlier, in order to work deeply, we need to eliminate as many distractions as possible. But why is this? Well, in 2012, Wilhelm Hofmann and Roy Baumeister did a study with 205 adults, and they found that we are only able to resist distractions half of the time. So basically, the study suggests that regardless of your intentions, if there are distractions, you can only resist them 50% of the time. This means that half of the time, distractions like your mobile phone, social media, emails, gaming, watching TV, etc. take over. And these distractions push us away towards our real goals, like becoming a better programmer, for instance. So to remember, no matter our good intentions, we can only resist distraction half of the time. Now, because of this, Cal Newport describes that the key to developing a deep work habit is to move beyond good intentions and add routines and rituals to your working life. However, there's no correct deep work ritual or deep work routine. The right fit depends on both the person and the type of project pursued. But luckily, there are 3 general questions that every effective ritual or routine must address. For me, my home office works best with the door closed and a clean desk. And it also helps to give your deep work session a specific time frame. I personally favor a deep work session in the morning that lasts around 2 hours. So what this means is that your ritual needs rules and processes to keep your efforts structured. Now, for me, it helps to ban myself from using my phone and checking my emails. Or in other words, your ritual needs to ensure that your brain gets the support it needs to keep operating at a high level of depth. For me, it helps to add some lo-fi beats in the background and give myself a good cup of coffee and a nice glass of water to stay hydrated. Now, an additional advantage of setting up a well-planned ritual like this is that it helps your brain to know when it's time to go deep. Next to this, deep work isn't all about work. It's also about what you do after your workday. Cal Newport explains that downtime is very important, and after your workday you must shut down work thinking completely. Now, this is mainly because of 3 reasons. First, downtime gives you insights. I mean, have you ever experienced being stuck on a problem and then the next morning, boom, a possible solution pops up? Well, this is the power of downtime. As Cal Newport describes, providing your conscious brain time to rest enables your unconscious mind to take a shift, sorting through your most complex professional challenges. Or in other words, giving your conscious brain time to rest enables your unconscious brain to tackle a problem in the background. Now, if this sounds interesting to you, then I suggest to watch the video that pops up somewhere here above, and I will also place a link in the description. Then reason number 2. Downtime helps recharge the energy needed to work deeply. Unfortunately, we do not have an infinite resource to work deeply. Now, Cal Newport suggests that well-trained people can work deeply without distractions for a maximum of 4 hours a day. So our ability to focus intensely becomes harder and harder once this upper limit of 4 hours a day is reached. But luckily we can restore our ability to focus intensely, and that's simply by giving our brain rest. So with this in mind, it is important that you value downtime so your brain can begin to recharge for the next deep work session. Alright, then reason number 3. The work that evening downtime replaces is usually not that important. As explained previously, 4 hours a day of intense concentration is the limit. Now, most of us hit our daily deep work capacity during our workday. So as a result, trying to work deeply in the evening isn't that effective. So it can be more effective to just chill in the evening and then go deep again the next day. So to remember, in order to work deeply, we need to eliminate as many distractions as possible. Now, no matter our good intentions, we can only resist distractions half of the time. So for this reason, it can really be beneficial to create routines and rituals for your deep work session. And finally, we must value downtime because we don't have an infinite resource to concentrate deeply. Now, valuing downtime also more or less relates to the second rule described in this book, which is embracing boredom. Now, most professional athletes really take care of their bodies outside of the training sessions. This of course helps them to stay in top shape and get the most out of the training sessions. And basically the same applies to knowledge workers or mental athletes. So if you want to achieve the deepest level of concentration, then just like athletes taking care of their bodies outside of the training session, we must take care of our brain when our deep work limit is reached. But why is this so important? Well, let's dive a bit deeper. Let's say you have to wait 5 minutes in line or sit alone in a restaurant until a friend arrives. If you constantly feel that moment of potential boredom with a quick glance on your phone, then that actually rewires your brain in a negative sense. Because we more or less create this connection that every time we feel a bit bored, we need to get some stimuli that gets rid of our boredom. So we basically create this connection of boredom stimuli, boredom stimuli. Now the downside of this is that your brain doesn't tolerate any deep work because most deep work sessions got some boredom in it. And if this boredom is linked to novel stimuli, then your brain won't simply tolerate it to go deep for 2 hours without distractions. So to remember, to stay in cognitive shape and get the most out of your deep work sessions, we must embrace boredom. As we all know, social media is pretty addictive and it doesn't really improve our productivity. We can even suggest that they don't offer a lot of advantage in return for all the time we give them. So as described in the book, to master the art of deep work, you must take back control of your time and attention. So we should not allow social media to distract us from the most important work that we need to do. Now this doesn't mean that you have to stop social media completely. But the main point described in the book is that we must learn to say no to social media. Because social media can become really time consuming, but for most of us it gives less value in return. Now, shallow work relates to low-value activities that don't need an intense focus, for instance answering emails, making a phone call or attending meetings. Now, Cal Newport suggests that if you are serious about working deeply, you need to drain the shallows. Or in other words, don't allow these shallow tasks to eat into the amount of time that you have for deep work. Now, why is it important to be aware of this? Well, we spend much of our day on autopilot. And as a result, we are not giving much thought to what we're doing with our time. This is a problem because if you are not aware of this, you can be very busy with all kinds of shallow tasks. So Cal suggests to take advantage of the value of deep work, you must schedule every minute of your day. Now he mentioned that the goal is not to stick to a given schedule at all costs. It's instead to maintain at all times a thoughtful say in what you're doing with your time going forward. So the main advantage of a schedule is that it helps you to treat your time with respect and be thoughtful about your time. Alright, so that were my most important lessons that I gathered from this book. I hope you liked the video and I see you in the next one. Better at stuff, we only resist distractions half of the time.